Hi, I'm Ted Haptegaber, founder and producer of Live Talks Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Since we started over a decade ago, we have brought you hundreds of conversations with storytellers, writers, actors, musicians, humorists, chefs, and thought leaders in business and science. You can watch and hear most of these in our YouTube channel and our podcast. For details, visit livetalksla.org. And now, here's the show you've tuned in to see.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful book, and I think it was millions of us who watched a lot of your career, but for me that moment was 2016 Rio. When you came down with that smile down that straightaway, it wasn't just the victory, it was you could see all the emotion of what you had been through for a lot of years. Yeah?
Of course. I think that's when it was the first time and the last time I ran alive. Because I think as an individual, when you go through a lot in life, and then you live your life based on sacrificing yourself, just to make sure that you make your people happy. It always comes with a price. But I'll say 2016, that's when I felt alive. I felt existent, and I felt ready emotionally, happy, and I felt fulfilled. So I'll say it's one of those best races that I can never forget.
Yeah. And a lot of us will remember it as well.
Yeah, of course.
I want to go back all the way to the beginning, because your childhood, I want to talk about you as the athlete and being that athlete in your village, because there was a natural talent right away. At age 3, 4, you're an athlete all the way. But what impressed me also was that this is a poor village with your family had no refrigeration, no plumbing.
Of course.
But you had a happy childhood, yeah? First of all, what's the name? We call you Caster. But what does your family call you? What's that name?
Mohadi. Yeah, Mohadi means the one who guides. I think growing up in a small village like that, dusty, no resources, no electricity, no running water, no plumbing, as you said, no refrigerator. You work based on room temperature. So I think for me, it explains how great we are, no matter where we're coming from, no matter what circumstances, being able to succeed, even when you don't have resources, you don't have to worry about the lights, like here in New York City, and LA, Boston's, but just living your life and being happy with the childhood is because of the love, the support. People appreciate little things, and for us it has always been about that, saying, if I can make it out of this village, make sure that I can go in the cities, and then I mine whatever I mine, then I come back and change that. It comes with the love that you get from the loved ones. It comes with the love that you get from the society as a whole, the village, your parents, your siblings, but mostly the love that you have for yourself. I think it stands out the most, because if it's not you, then I don't think you will exist. Because if you don't love yourself, you don't appreciate yourself, you don't respect yourself to an extent where you want to depend on others, it becomes a problem. But then comes when you do sports, you feel fulfilled, you enjoy that dust coming through your throat, it chokes you a little bit, and then there's no water. And you'll be like, I think for us, as villagers, those who grow up in the village, watching, TV on just that small box, and there's a solar system out there. If there's no sun, then there's a problem. Then there's no TV. So it comes with that. So you know what, you're gonna be hungry, and then you'll always want to achieve, and then you want to work hard. Then you make sure that everything that you do, you master it. So I think it just comes with that love, that support, when they appreciate you, then accept you, but then they love you for who you are. I think that's what makes us great.
Yeah. Well, you paint a picture of it. And I love how your mommy's little girl and your daddy's little girl and your sisters, all your friends in the village. But a lot of your joy was running around. And I mean, we're talking no shoes, right?
Yes.
And we're talking a rough, the way you describe it, there are thorns all over the place. It's not like a nice, flat, grassy field.
Of course.
So describe, you're a hunter? What do you mean? You're running after animals and hunting them? And
I think athleticism comes within, I think when you are born, to do this, you're born to do it. For me, I think from, 7 months, my mom tells me, you start walking. I'm like, wow, okay. And then like, you're born a winner, you understand? I think for me, it has always been, bending me from young age, to strive, for greatness. And I always knew from young that, I think I can be somebody one day, in sports. But I loved, soccer. Which we call it football, in Africa. Here, American football is something different. And
you'd probably be good at it, American football.
Yeah, I'm rough. I like hitting. I like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Tackling stuff.
That's what I mean.
I play touch, with my male cousins. But I think with me, it has always been, within. I loved sports from, young age, age of 4, you play, in the streets, pole-to-pole football. Anyway, I liked money, if you know the Michael, Jordan story where he likes to gamble a lot, that's me. I gambled a lot from young, I liked money from young, you understand? And that, has always been a motivation to say, sometimes, sports, yes, is a short-term career, but you can use it you can leverage out of it. You can make use of it. It opens opportunities and stuff like that. I've always been that, young girl to not limit myself. And I played around with, male cousins. Those boys in the villages, they always knew that if you're with Caster, of course, you're in a winning team. I've always, I never wanted to lose, you understand? So I've always been that young girl that believed in herself. I believed in myself. I trusted my instinct. If I bet, I'll tell you, I feel good today, And of course, I'm going to win. So my cousins, they've always wanted me to be in the bush, and we had this rule in the bush to say, whatever happens in the bush stays there. You don't tell it to anyone, because things that we did, they were extreme, critical. So we played touch, on the tree, branches to branches. I can, just jump over the other branch. So it was dangerous. But then if you knew, let's say you're the boss, I am new, I have to fight you. And if I lose, I'm going to fight you till I beat you. You understand? So I have to come up with strategies to make sure that, I make you, feel it. Even if I lose for 10 days, but I know one day I'll beat you. You understand? So for me, growing up, in the bush has taught me, responsibility, for me to be accountable, always make sure that if I start something, I need to finish it. And the story of hunting, of course, we love meat in South Africa. Here you say barbecue, we braai, So it was all about, being in the bush, making sure that you provide something, you go home, you make sure that there's something, for a day. Because if you don't come up with something, then there's no meal. You understand? For us, it has always been about that. But I think the strength, the endurance, That mental strength come from, the bush, because you leave home without food. You get to the bush, you have to make something out of the bush. You understand? So I think that hunger of success, that hunger of not giving up, the hunger of always wanting to be the best, it comes from that, because from young, you always have those dreams. But for you to fulfill those dreams, you gotta work hard. There's dedication. You dedicate your time away from the streets. Then you are in the bush. So to make sure that you provide for your family. So I think also it comes with the responsibility. I'll say, for me, the bush, football, which is soccer, chasing those Springboks, making sure that I get those meals. I'll say it has prepared me to be, the athlete I am today. And, I'll always cherish those, for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, that's where I want to go next, where you went from the bush to coaches, people seeing you, winding up university, Pretoria. But before that, just to pause on something you're saying, when you were in your village, every time an airplane would go over, you'd say, nobody in my family has ever been on a plane. Nobody in my village has ever been it, but I'm going to go on a plane. And one day, I'm going to be successful and help my family. And you wind up bringing them their first refrigerator.
Yeah, of course. I'm those crazy, kids where I always told them, you know what, I'll be the first one to do this. As siblings, you always argue about that, but I'm the one who's always, bringing the meal. You understand? I'm the one who's always, borrowing you my money. You understand? But then when you see an aeroplane, it'll be like, I ask, well, what's that? They tell me it's an aeroplane. I say, one day I'll be in that plane. And they look at me like crazy. Be like, I'm going to do that. You understand? But for me, I've always been a dreamer. I've always, followed my heart. And I always knew that I'm destined, for greatness. Because when I was, 4 years, when I played soccer, remember, you score goals, you run over the boys, you're a girl. And be like, she's not a girl. I'm like, I am a girl. You understand? And when we're in the bush, I always told them, you know what? When we're swimming, I'll swim naked. So to prove to you that I'm a girl, because you want to see something, I'm going to show you. You understand? And the same thing with my siblings. When we were home, they will always, choose, choices for me. I'm like, no. I don't like doing dishes. I don't like cooking. I don't like, doing that. I like fixing stuff. I like doing gardening. I like climbing, the roof. Because I always watch my dad, doing those things. And then I don't see anyone in this house, doing that. Do you understand? And I'm saying, me effect, when it comes to responsibilities, it looks like I'm the one who will carry you guys. I'm the one who's going to come here, be the change. I'm the one who's going to come here and make sure that when I grow up, I'll take care of you. I think for me, that has always been in me to make sure that I take care of people around me. Even now, even in athletics, we're facing all these, difficulties. I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that, these young girls, they don't go through what I went through. I make sure that I fight for what is right, but I also remind them to understand themselves. It's all about self-identity, self-discovery. Those are the things that I learned, from young age, to say, you know what, I need to have a best relationship with myself. I need to understand myself to an extent where even somebody out there comes and try to critique, try to judge me, try to diminish, they don't pass through that. You understand? I think it comes, from young, just knowing who you are. Self-identity is very important. Self-discovering is very important, because you'll never have that low self-esteem. You'll always be positive in everything that you do, even when you're being questioned. When I grew up, now being matured, start understanding all this perimeter of life, when they say there's no such thing as bad publicity, I agree, because when people start talking bad about you, that means you exist. That means there's something great about you. You understand? And I started learning, so, they talk. I'm going to do something good. I will run. I'll make sure that I don't lose any race so they can talk more. And then they build you. So now you are a brand, they're suffocating. You understand? So those are the things that you learn from young to say, look, I own myself. I have the power in me to change the world, to make people see, life in a different way, to live life in a positive way, to accept people with their differences, no matter what race you are, what culture, religion. But at the end of the day, humanity, it's the key, to life. It's like if you can treat people with respect, dignity, and all those things, start understanding that, each and every individual has got the right, to live, has got the right of being. I think you'll be great. So this village life has brought me a fortune, if I may say.
Yeah.
I'm in a way. I'm enjoying life.
Yeah. Well, the confidence and the values and the dignity, as you say, they bleed through every page of this book. It's very inspiring. So, you're opening the door now because you say, hey, I say to the boys and girls, come on, let's go swimming naked. You want to call me a boy? I'll show you. I'm a girl. You're going to see. You're going to see with your own eyes. And so you're born a girl. You're in your family, you're a girl. In your village, you're a girl. As you're growing up and all the way to age 18, you're now starting to train with important coaches. You're starting to approach the world stage because you're that talented at the 800, the 1500, the 400 as well, yeah?
Yes.
The 400 as well. But you never doubted, even when you didn't develop breasts, when you didn't come into menstruation, you said, sometimes people are different. I guess I'm different, but trust me, I'm a girl, right?
Yes, of course. I think it comes with knowing your identity, knowing who you are, understanding yourself. I always knew that I'm a woman, but I knew that I'm different, and there's no doubt about that. I've discussed that with my mom, I discussed that with my sisters. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to develop breast. Me? No, I think I'm going to be, in a relationship with a woman because you know what you're feeling. And then that gives you the power to own yourself. That gives you the power to change, how people, see things, how people view things. Because if, as an individual, you understand yourself, you make it easy for people around you. You make it easy for the world to understand you because you are not holding yourself. You are not questioning who you are.
You lead the way.
You lead the way, of course. Because I've always said, if you love yourself, you accept yourself, you appreciate yourself, and you accept yourself for who you are, that's what the world will receive. But then how you treat yourself, that's how the world is going to treat you.
Yeah.
You understand? And I always tell it to these young girls and young boys to say, look, you own your identity. You're the one who's responsible for your happiness. If you don't make yourself happy, no one can make you happy because you'll always sacrifice your happiness. You'll never find it peace in you. But within, you need to find it in yourself to love the person you are, regardless of what differences you have. As an individual, of course, I differ from you. I differ from each and every individual in this room. You understand? But if I embrace myself, if I embrace my differences, if I celebrate the person I am, then life becomes easy. But the minute I start, focusing on what will people think about me if I do this, does that make you happy? When you look at the mirror, whatever reflects there needs to make you happy. But if that don't make you happy, that's when we started to have a problem. And also the problem comes with you focusing on things that you cannot control. For me, I always eliminate things that I cannot control. Be like, now, get out of here. You understand? That's what I do. And most of people, they're always asking me, how do you do it? I'm like, I mind my business. You understand? I am Caster. I am Mohadi. I know who am I. I know what I'm about. I know my purpose. I know why I'm in this world. And I know that there's nothing wrong with you being different. You understand? You are not a rejection. God cannot create, you, for you to, to be, feeling like you are a reject. You are a reflection of God. If you're His reflection, that means there is a purpose for you to be in this world. So you should know your purpose. You should live for that purpose, and you must know that purpose. Because if you don't study yourself to an extent where you need to confuse people sometimes. People need to question themselves, like, if Caster can do it under all those scrutiny, all those circumstances, why can't I do it? And I always come up with that question to say, if not me, who? You understand? Why not me? That should be your question to say, if Jesus was crucified, for just being pure, then why can't you be? You need to know that sometimes you need to sacrifice yourself for others so they can be happy. But then do not forget to make yourself happy, because at the end of the day, as much as I sacrifice myself, there should be an end goal. I should have also that paradise. I must not be in hell. Yes, I've been in hell through my career, but now there is a light, towards that end of the tunnel. I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm doing because I found peace, in me. I found peace to say, I'm going to forgive myself for everything that I've done to myself. Me holding myself from everything. Me, living life every day, not being happy. That sucks. You understand?
Yeah.
So for individual to get to that level, it comes with, just understanding yourself, understanding your journey, making sure that everything that you do, you are happy before any other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, clearly you spoke with this kind of evolution even when you were a teenager, not just at this ripe old age of 32. But, but still, you just said, maybe you always kept strong with who you are deep inside, but still, there were things beyond your control.
Of course.
There are things out of control. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about you going to Berlin, your first world championships, and here you are. You're this girl. You're this village girl.
Of course.
And then you arrive here, and it's a nightmare. What happens? It takes you by shock and surprise. Tell everybody here what happened.
Yeah, 2009. It was it was a hell of a year, cause you come as a teenager. I ran the African Junior Championships. I remember around 156. I was like, I'm here. I checked, the well list. I'm on top. I'm like, okay, it's about to go down. You understand? And when it's about to go down, then you're being questioned. Your gender. She's not woman enough. I'm like, nonsense. What's that? And then you're surrounded by people who fail you. You understand? Instead of them protecting you, they throw you deep, in the sharks. And for me, that's what disappointed me the most. When ASA, appointed that,
Tell people what ASA is.
Yes, ASA is a South African Athletics Federation. It's like the mother body, where I'm coming from. They're the ones who, deal with, our registrations and everything, more like, American track and field, So what they did is like they did me wrong, because instead of them being honest with me to say, look, you've been asked, to go through, gender test. They just send me, a psychologist to counsel. And when the psychologist, doing those, counseling, is pushing through the corners. Don't tell me straight that this is a test that you're supposed to do. Then, okay, we're done with that. The very same day.
So you thought it was a doping test?
I thought it's a doping test.
A steroid test, blood test.
Of course. And I get to this Mediforum, is like a clinic. I meet this doctor. I'm like, okay, I'm here for doping. He said, no, Cass, this is not doping, Miss Semenya. I say, what do you mean? I say, it's a gender test. He was straight with me. I said, okay, if it's a gender test, why not? Let's just get done with it, because if it's gender test, what is it there for me to hide? Because I know I'm a woman. Yes, I know I'm a different woman. And then tells me it's not that kind of a gender test. You're thinking that I'm just going to take blood and what. I said, I have no idea, what's going on in terms of this, gender test and all those things. And he said, okay, I'm going to take the blood and then we're going to do evaluation. I'm like, oh, evaluating what? Oh, but if you want to see, I'll show you. And then we went, he evaluated, he did the sauna and all those things. And then he comes to me and tells me that, I'm afraid, your results are not going to be good. And I'm like, it don't matter to me. Because at the end of the day, I was preparing, for a championship. And then in my mind, full disappointment, you understand? And I call Violet, my partner. I'm like, this is what's happening, but I don't feel like going there because there's something off about this, situation. She's like, you're not going to let, no one rule you. You're not going to let anyone take, your destiny. Take that away from you, because if you don't go there, you don't know if the first or the last. I said, okay, I'll go. The results are not yet done, out, and I go to Berlin. I get to Berlin, same thing happens. I get to Berlin, okay, before I ran the heats, they did the same random test, but they came, to the hotel, they took the blood. All right.
And I'm sorry, the reason they're doing this is because there's been a brewing, there's been a complaint.
There's a brewing complaints that, no, she's not woman enough. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not woman enough? I ran with this, young girls, last year I went to the, World Championships, I ran the World Junior Championships. Because I was out in the heat, I was a woman, you understand? I won Commonwealth Youth Games because I did not run fast times. I'm a woman. You understand? But then when I run fast, I'm not woman enough. There's something wrong about me. Okay, it's fine. Let's do this thing. And then we went through the test again. Semi-final. After the semi-final, they came again. They took the test. Then the results from South Africa probably came in. And when the results came in, probably they had their own meetings. I was not there. And then they sent the vice president to come, talk to me. Their point is I must withdraw from, the final. I'm like, are you nuts? Are you okay? Me? Withdraw? You think I'm here to give up? No. If you think I'm going to give up, it's you who's going to give up your position as a council member there because you're going to fight. This guy, he thought I'm bluffing. The president comes, says, Cass, you need to withdraw because your results, are not good. There's been, a lot of problems there. I'm like, okay, that's your problem. And theirs, not mine. At the end of the day, I'm going to do that. And then they say, okay, we have to do retest. I'm like, it don't matter. The very same thing that you found there, you're going to find. You understand? Anyway, let's just go do that. And I think in their mind, they thought taking me through those tests will distract me, it will disturb me, will make me feel that I don't belong. It will make me feel like, I don't want to run. And it will disturb me to that extent. Only to say, they calculated wrong. I always say that because they don't know where I'm coming from. They don't know the circumstances, I grew up in. I'm not giving up. For me, the main goal was to go there, win the gold. And then we went. I remember I get to this hospital, it's there in Germany, and I meet with these two, it's one guy and then the one lady. They don't speak, English. They just understand there and then. They say, asking me, do you need a translator or what? I said, no, I need no translator. I know why I'm here. Just take the blood and do your evaluation. And then I see the eyes go went like, and I said, okay, cool, I'm ready. And then they take the blood, they start evaluating. So now get the tricky part. They want to penetrate me. I'm like, no freaking way. I'm not going there. You are not going to do that to me. You're not going to violate me to that extent. For you to do that, you'll take it to my ass. That's what I told them. They were like, I could see. I said, oh, now you understand English. You understand? And because I had to make it hard for them, to get whatever they wanted to, to get. And they did that. They insert that thing. And then I asked them, are you people done? I have a final to prepare. I could see that, they don't know what to say to me. And I said, because I told them I'm a hunter. Where I'm coming from, I slaughtered, animals. So you see these instruments here? You see all these things? Don't make any mistake. Don't even try. And then be like, they were scared as hell. And they did, they finished, and then I left to the hotel, and then the president comes. He say, you know what, Kes? I withdraw, from the council. We're going to fight the battle. I say, my man, and I went there, told him, you know what, you're going to put that, gold on my neck. And the following day, that's when they say it leaked. But I didn't know they leaked the results because my focus was not on the news. My focus was not on those, speculations and that. And remember, during the semi-final, someone asked me about the gender test. And I tell him, man, I don't know what you're talking about, what you had that from, but I don't give a damn. I just told him like that. Because they wanted to play with my mind. That's when I realized, you know what, this is bigger than me, but the only thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go there, show them what I'm made of. And the day of the final, I could see the disbelief in those people's eyes. My opponent's eyes are big like, is she here? And I'm there, I'm doing my warm-ups. I said, you know what, I'm going to do my warm-ups fast. I went hard. And I remember doing the strides. I did 8 times the bend to make sure that when I start, I move, you understand? And I passed through, actually Hazel Locke was there, the American. She did not make the final. I saw her, I ran with her in the heat. And I see this Italian lady, Alisa Kushma. I could see, the face was like, she's not feeling good. And I passed through Sevenova, the Russian who got banned. When I got, upgraded, I could see she's exhausted. I say, yeah, I'm in their head. Let me continue. And then I passed through Chepskoske, the defending champion. She was not talking to me. I just gave her a look. I said, okay, you're losing, girl. And then when I passed through the British, tents, I could see, the talking, the pointing on me. Now she's here. And then I look at Jenny Meadows. Marolina Goro is the one who spoke to me. And then the girl from Ukraine, she was kaput. It was like, it was over. I won the race at the warm-up track. I won the race at that moment. And I knew I'm the boss. I ran the show. And then I went. When the gun went off, I told myself, you know what, when the bell rings, I'm whipping, I'm moving. They just saw, the mamba moving because I was running with this new spike mamba. And when I crossed the line, what made me angry is because you don't talk to me. You never spoke to me. So you want to give me a hug? So I just look at her like, you know what? Carrara here. Then I passed. You understand? And years later, now we're friends, we're talking. Then I ask her, what was going on in your mind? And she was like, you know what, sometimes if you listen to what people say, they will influence you to make, wrong decisions. Because sometimes when you're desperate because you want to defend the title, you will do that. And for me, it's like I made peace, man. I study sports, sports science and no sportsmanship. For me, it's never personal. I'm here to do what I have to do, but at the end of the day, I still have to respect. But the situation, I think, has built me to be a better person, to see, life in a very different way. So for me to treat people with respect, accept people for who they are. And for me, it got me, to places where I never thought I would be, because I see differences. Now, for me, now having my own kids, I'll make sure that, I protect my kids in any cost, you understand? And now, fighting the case, the very same case that I've been fighting for 15 years, for me, my hope is that women's sports must be respected, because at the moment, women's sport is not being respected. Men think they're entitled, to rule women's sports, and they don't realize that they are dividing us as women. They are turning us against each other. But the same way, we as women, we need to start owning ourselves. We need to start realizing that if we don't take ownership of our own bodies, we don't decide for what is right for us and letting other gender to do that. That's a failure, because we will always fail, because we will always bow down, to other gender to say, guys, we think that women is not women enough, or they think this is how women should look like. And for me, it's still that concept where I still feel like men still feel like women are meant to be in the house cooking. They must be housewives. They must be doing that laundry. They must be, they must bear kids, women, you are women enough if maybe you are on your weave, makeups and all those things. That's how they want to portray women. But they're forgetting that in the world of sports, people are different, Their genetics, And you look at men's sports, men are not being questioned when they have this supernatural, genetics where, you have wide arms, huge wrist, you're tall, your lungs are, the capacity of your lungs, they are in another level. But then you are phenomenal. But then when women comes, there must be something wrong about it. And we as women, if we do not realize that, we're digging our own holes. We will never do anything extraordinary. We can never govern anything because we depend on men to rule. Why can't we rule our own sports to say, look, we as women, we feel like that's unfair for a man to decide. We as women, we the ones who need to decide if Semenya is not women enough, if Nyosava is not women enough, if Wamboi is not women enough, if Seni is not women enough, if Judy Chand is not women enough, you understand? So for me, I'll have respect to us as women if we stand the ground and say, you know what, let alone our sports, we will regulate it, we will govern it, but then I also have respect for men if they allow women to be in that position to be able to decide what is wrong, what is right in women's sports. If not that, I feel sorry for us.
Yeah. Well, you've been a leader in this, and look, how many, world leaders even, Nelson Mandela,
of course,
Winnie Mandela, have been on your side and have honored you. Billie Jean King,
of course,
Serena Williams,
yes,
and many people. When you ran in Rio, that crowd was not booing you. They were thrilled.
Yes.
So it's been a very small, and as you say, this particular political men's group at the top of sport, but just to be empirical about it. So what this group has decided is there is something that they're going to call DSD, the difference in sex development.
Yes.
And the last I read, I think gender becomes a very threatening issue for men especially.
Of course.
So, how many differences? I have two best friends. One is a stutterer, very difficult, she's smartest person you'll ever meet, but she has trouble getting it out. She's judged from this. I have another friend who has ADD, just, every minute she interrupts you.
I know. I studied about that.
Yeah, you know about it. So, and we could name all the types of differences, but none of those seem to threaten anybody. But now, if your gender is you're not female enough, as you say, you're not woman enough, this becomes very dangerous. But you better do what we say. You better have a surgery. So the last I read about it is there are 66 different variations of gender. When you talk about from hormonal issues and chromosomal issues and actual anatomical issues. So maybe you fall under that category, but something you just said, and you've quoted it in your book, it's one of my favorite quotes, when you say, maybe the hormonal makeup of my body does give me advantage. So what? It's mine.
Yeah, it's
so
mine.
You never cheated.
Yeah.
This is your real body.
Of course.
And, it sort of begs the question, well, if your body produces a bit more testosterone, not as much as the male athlete, but a bit more than the female, like you say, well, how come Michael Phelps? It's not fair. He has very flexible joints. He should be punished for that. So you're born with your body. You grew up a girl. You say, I'm a woman. Then you want to be respected as a woman.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And it is disappointing whereby the other gender, when they are given, when they have those extra, ordinary, genetics, they are phenomenal. And then comes to us as, women, when you have, higher testosterone level and you name it, then there's something wrong about you. And then they say it plays, it's like you gain advantage, out of it. There's no such as thing.
Yeah.
Because you gain advantage through your hard work, your dedication.
Your talent.
Your talent, you understand? The time you spend in training, that's what gives you advantage. The team that you have around you, that has to make sure that you are injury-free, that makes sure that you are doing retraining, you do strengthening, but as well as you, as an athlete, giving yourself time, to train while people are sleeping, to be first in the gym, to be the last out of the gym, that's what gives you advantage. You don't gain advantage from that. Everyone has their own differences. But then, if you're not working hard, there's nothing you can get out of it.
Well, you made the good point that
Yes.
there are many women who are not categorized as DSD, so
Yes.
we call them, cisgender women, I think
course.
people say,
Yeah.
who were faster than you.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They are
there
fast.
are some.
And I looked through the research, of Well Athletics now, where they say you gain advantage. And if I had advantage, why am I not running the very same? Because according to them, I'm biologically man. I'm saying, okay, if I'm a man, why can't I run 141 over 800 meters? Why can't I run 44 over 400 meters? Why can't I run, 9.5 like Usain?
Yeah.
Why can't I run, 3:26 like El Garouche? You understand? So for me, it shows that when people are losing their mind, when people are confused, when people are hungry for power, when people want to be felled, that's what they do, because they want us to understand that they run the show and they own it. Unfortunately, people like me will not allow that. People like me always fight for what is right.
Yep.
People like me always fight for, diverse and inclusivity, you understand? Making sure that human rights are protected, Yes, they may have the right now to rule, but for how long? You serve only 4 terms, 3 terms, I don't care. You're 65, you're 75, but at the end of the day, you're going to move. I'm 32. You think I'm going to give up at age of 32? Yes, I might be blocked from competing, but that did not stop me, to succeed. My success is great. I've done well, but at the moment, my point is that I'll always fight for what is right. The court is still on. We're still going to keep on, fighting this case till we've been heard. Because at the end of the day, you look into how they approach everything. They always want to change things, and then they say they want to level the sports. And I'm like, my man, you can never ever level the sports. Sports can never be fair. You look into NBA. You're telling me that Steph Curry, you look at LeBron, you will think, do you think when you look at the size of Shaquille O'Neal, when he played with those men, you get what I'm saying? That can never be. Even if you look into WNBA, it's still the same thing. You check the Edge Wilsons, they're tall.
Yep.
You check out the lady from Australia, she's huge.
Yeah, she's huge.
She's given. I love it. She's big.
Yeah.
It's okay. She's been given the body. So are you going to tell me that you want to categorize those women because of their genetics? No, it don't work like that. People need to start being practical. People need to start, making realistic decisions. And it always shows that people who are in those positions, they did not study sports science. They don't know nothing about sports. Yeah. What they know, like Sebastian, yes, he was a great mile runner. Yeah, we respect that.
She's referring to Sebastian Coe, who was 800-meter champion.
He was good. But what he does not understand is that those variations, he never went through study those things. And you look at the Jonathan Taylor, he's just an attorney that speaks based on the paper. He speaks based on appearances of people. They treat people with disrespect, you understand? And you look at their research and then you be asking them, okay, what's your subject? Is it even valid? No, we think. All they do is we think, you understand? And you ask yourself that the jury or those, judges that they sit there, to judge, you're listening to these people mumbling with disrespect, discriminating, you understand? And you're still going to favor them. And then I'll be like, if you guys are here to protect, the sports, why do you always have to rule against what's right? You understand? And for me, they look at me and say, maybe she'll give up. No, come on. I'm a freedom fighter, man. I'm coming from Africa. Yeah. We don't give up, you understand? We always fight for what is right. But what I'm trying to say is that I hope people go out there, start studying, start doing the research, so they can understand that each and every individual is different. Each and every individual is born with their differences. So you should start accepting people for who they are. There's nothing that we can change. If you're born with your differences, embrace them and then move on. If you have a problem, keep it to yourself, you understand? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to go out there judging people based on their look, based on, those differences that they're born with. It's something that we cannot control. Genetically, we cannot control anything.
Yeah.
Even the same man, Dr. Behrman from IAAF, you ask him questions, he will not answer you. You understand? Yeah. Because there is no such thing as advantage. No. If you work hard, you wake up every day, 5 o'clock, you go do your gym, you go back, you do the session, you practice it up until you can't get it wrong. You'll be the master. When I'm sitting like this, I don't gain anything from anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it don't make sense. So they gotta go out there, make things right.
But I hope it doesn't sound rude if I ask you, because
Yeah.
I think it's part of just human curiosity.
Yeah.
Here you are, always been this strong, defiant person. You say, I know what's right. I know who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm going to run and prove myself. And there was such a perversity. I mean, it wasn't just even the organizations. There are the television cameras trying to take, rude shots of your private parts, while you're warming up. Rude. Didn't that piss you off? Because it pissed me off.
No, don't
Nope.
piss me off.
No.
Because at the end of the day, we all know, man, we all have our own private parts. You have boobs, you have your booty, you have all those things. At the end of the day, for me, those are the things that biology, now life science, we all have those things. As you're standing there with your own camera, you have your own particulars. So for me, zooming, doing that, to me, it don't mean anything because they are just my things.
That didn't bother you at all?
It don't bother me because, come on. At the end of the day, when I go to my bedroom, my partner is going to see them.
Yeah.
You go to your bedroom, your partner sees that. You understand? Those are the things that we don't hide. For me, it don't bother me because that's my body. I love it. I embrace it. And when somebody zooms it, that means something good about it. You understand? I'm not taking it in a negative way when they say, if they see a six-pack, man, I work hard for that six-pack. And then you look at them bellies. Them bellies are more like, it's like something's rolling there. You get what I'm saying? My point is, I can never be ashamed or I can never be pissed when someone zooms or anything. They're just doing their job. He's a cameraman, you understand?
Yeah.
He's doing that, because he's getting paid to do that.
Yeah, yeah. You don't care.
I don't care. I'm here. I want my dollars. If I'm here to run and I know I'm going to win $60,000, you think I'm going to care about what people zooms, to see or to want people to see or how they explain it? To me, it don't matter. What matters the most is how I carry myself, how I go there with confidence, how I embrace my body, and I like it. I know I'm bold. I know I'm masculine. It's okay. But the fact remains that I know I'm a woman I am, and it don't change. It don't change if I have, internal testicles. I don't have uterus. I don't have fallopian tube. I don't have, breast. That don't make me less a woman. You understand? I'm a woman I am, and I'm great. I'm great at what I do. I'm a mother of my 2 kids. Then when you are sleeping there at your home, you are ceiling, you see Caster Semenya, on your roof, it don't bother me. At the end of the day, you are the one who's living, with your illusions, not me. And for me, I'll live for people who believe in me. I'll live for people who look up to me, and I'll keep on inspiring them so they can love themselves. That's why we write these books, so people can learn. We write these books to educate people.
Yeah.
We write these books for people to understand, the principle of life, the process, how to live a good life. For you to good a good life, it's by embracing yourself, loving yourself, appreciating yourself, but making yourself happy, I think, is the most, important part about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are great, Caster Semenya. You are great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not on the inside of gender studies, but I do. I'm a fan of track and field.
Yeah.
So I watched the greats since I've been a kid, and I had the wrong idea because of the way the press reported you that you're the only one. You're the only woman who runs track who has a higher than normal testosterone level. And when I started to research it, the list is long. There are many athletes from many different countries.
Yeah.
But why don't we know about them?
I think what I've realized about these athletes, they want to conform to what is believed they need to be. And they're scared to talk. when you reach out, they don't say anything. For an example, one disappointing part about my neighboring, country like Namibia, I saw the names there, those two names, Masilingi and Mbomba.
Okay.
As we speak now, they're going through the hormonal therapy.
Yeah.
And I was
Meaning
like,
estrogen,
yeah,
trying to bring the
estrogen.
testosterone
I'm
down.
like, but if you're gonna go through that, you must know that it's gonna be hard for you. And I spoke to the managers and I tell them, look, these kids, you know what they're doing? They're digging a hole that they can never fill up. You understand? They're gonna live under depression because I've been there.
Yeah.
I sacrificed, my teenage life, going through that same process.
You did it. You tried it.
And I tried. Trust me, you will never be happy.
Yeah.
You live your life.
It wasn't your body
It's
anymore.
not your body because you're not being yourself. You're just doing it out of desperation. And all these kids, most of them, they can't be vocal because they're scared. They're scared of rejection. They want to be, welcome. They want to be loved. But I was like to them, you know what? Because I spoke to the other one from Kenya, Margaret, one boy. She's, it has destroyed her, to a point where the only thing that she can do is 800 meters, Unlike us, some of us, we can try to hustle and make sure that we do, that long distance. For her, it was the beginning and the end. And then you look at Imali, the other one from, Kenya. She wants to fight, but you're not getting the support from your own people. That's the problem with our own African leaders, especially in athletics. They want to conform to that. They're forgetting that they're killing those young girls', dreams. They don't support them. They don't say anything. They just say, okay, if IWF say you're going to take the medication, you're going to take it. I'm like, what? The very same president of, CAA, which is, is the, our own federation, South, African, Confederation, athletics.
Yeah.
This guy is like, they ask him a question about the situation. He's like, I'm not going to talk about it. And then you say, okay, you're a leader. The very same regulation is affecting majority of the athletes in the African soil. So you're not encouraging, African leaders in each and every region or each and every, federation to support their own. You're just going to allow it like that? So that's a problem. And these kids, there's nothing that they can do because if your own parents can't support you, so how are you going to be able to overcome, that stress? They're living under depression. Most of them, athletics has been the source of their income. It's been shattered. I know, I've been there. For me, I was fortunate enough, I was able to fight it. But now, they have tightened it up to an extent where it's like you're driving a car with you're driving from, Boston, to New York with the reserve tank. Of course, you're never going to make it there. You understand? And for me, it's one of those hardest things that, you can never imagine. And when you speak to them, you say, why don't you voice out? They're scared because of the very same leaders. You understand? It has affected a lot. It's more. Even the number that you have, there's more than that.
I'm sure.
Because there are young girls. The other Kenyan, she went to the World Championships this year. She couldn't run. You understand? Each and every year, we discover that there's a lot of African and Asian kids that are affected by this situation.
And this is just track. So we could talk about all the world of sports.
Even in
This must
soccer, it's
exist.
there because of I've seen, one go through that.
Yeah.
Even in soccer. So what I'm trying to say is that this situation is everywhere.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's gonna get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. But it was it was so moving, and I felt for you reading in your book when you decided. They didn't force you. They did. They said, you want to run, you're either going to do this surgery or you're going to take estrogen and change your entire body. Well, there's no judgment on people who want to change their genders.
Yes.
But you didn't. You were forced to do that, and it made you ill, didn't it?
No, I was sick every day. It's like living life, on medication while you're not sick. It's like, you're just taking drugs because you're taking them. And, every day, you're unhappy. And it's just dark, It's like deep down your heart, you just know that, I'm going down the drain, you understand? And you're taking this medication, you're training hard, there are no results when you're running. And then your stomach is burning every day, you're having panic attacks, it starts developing, blood clots. And there's a risk of cancer on top of it. So that's how worse it is. And when you look into their research, they've never researched, because even though we took the estrogen, it was not their idea. They have no idea what that can do, to harm someone with such condition. Because you are not trying to balance the hormone based on having, a heavy menstruation, all those things. No. Maybe those most are contraceptive, pills.
Yeah.
And you're not taking it because you want to balance anything. You're taking it because they want you to slow down.
Yeah.
They want to shut your body.
Yeah.
And when the doctor told me, look, you only have 2 years to take this thing, I'm like, 2 years? Yeah, because we want you to run just Olympics and walk away. You understand? And for me, I was like, no, I can be greater than that.
Yeah.
I want to do more. But then it killed me, that thing.
Yeah.
Psychologically.
You would never do it again.
No ways. I'd rather go, man, go to army or do something else, man. Go to Navy SEAL and, do training and be an instructor.
Did you just say Navy SEAL?
Of course.
Why am I not surprised? So listen, Caster, some people in the audience want to ask you a question, but I want to finish our conversation with, so where do you stand now? You've just won a case in terms of human rights, right? Yes. Tell us about that.
Of course, winning the case, for women's rights, I think it's like, it's a win for life, because once in a lifetime, there are people who, have a sense of humor, who understand that, human rights must be considered in each and every decision making, whether in men's sports or women's sports or anything, you understand? And it gives us a light to say, we still stand a chance to go argue the case at the court of arbitration. We don't know what's going to happen, but we are positive enough that we're heading into the right direction, because now when we go to the court of arbitration, we're not going there to discuss. We're going there to argue the matter. We're going to make sure that we enlighten this situation, to tell them, look, this is what's happening. You guys here don't have any proof. We want this ruling to be upheld. That's what we want to do.
But what is the court? Because I read somewhere, I don't get my notes out, but
yes.
what is the court? And they said you have been discriminated against,
yes,
and this has been against human rights. What's happened to you?
Human rights.
What court is that?
High court is like human rights, high court.
Okay.
It's like in the
in Europe.
Yeah, in Europe. But it does not guarantee us to compete. It's just to say, this ruling is discriminatory. But then the Swiss, they still can appeal to say, take it to the high chamber.
Okay.
You understand? But then that's not really the big deal. The big deal is that we are still going back, to fight the case.
You are.
Of course, we are fighting.
So that's the actual athletic. It used to be the IAAF. You keep referring to, but it's now what called?
Now World Athletics.
World Athletics.
Yes.
So they right now say that you or anybody
Yes.
with a higher testosterone level than a normal, unless you take the estrogen drugs, forget
and then
it.
you have to be on 5 null. It's like
5. It's very,
5
very,
is
very
like
little.
nothing. It's like
Yeah.
I'm be like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's
You
very
understand?
little.
So it's very little, you know. But for me, what stands the most is that we still, in the same, right track. The possibilities of winning the case are very high. Because,
Are they?
Yes, they're very high. They fumbled,
Yeah.
They've fabricated, everything. They lied about, their research. They don't have any proof for whatsoever the medication they're talking about, if the medication is healthy, all those things. So there's a lot of things that are going on in that office that amazes me to say, maybe when you have them Benjamins, you can do anything, you understand? And it pisses me off because you can't go buy people to come and be, you can't buy experts. You know, their testimony it's weak. You understand? So, but like I said, we are on the right track. We're gonna do what is right. We're gonna fight for what is right. We're never giving up. If World Athletics thinks this case is about to end, I will say it's one of those cold cases that, we will fight till the end. And the end is more of Sebastian will be stepping out of the office because he's getting old. So we new generation will come, step in to fight for what is right. Because at the end of the day, our goals are more on making sure that there's a fair play as much as they say. We don't discriminate anyone. Everyone is well taken off, and then women's sports is being, separated from those nonsense because you can't regulate women's sports if you don't understand anything. We want women's sport to be well taken by women, not men. You understand? So for me, that's my goal. That's the route I'm hitting to. They may hate me. It's fine. But I'm here to stay.
Well, we're going to follow you. And it goes without saying that the heroes of social change, we mentioned Nelson Mandela and Billie Jean King, they fight for the next generation.
Of course.
And that's where you are. I was semi-joking, but not really, with Caster backstage to say, what if, picture it really, Paris, 2024, the games, they're going to be next summer. Let's just say you're not allowed to run. We're going to say probably isn't going to change by then, but maybe it will. I hope it does. But let's just say the Olympic Stadium is here, and you can see the Eiffel Tower in the distance. And over here, there's another 400-meter track. There are a number around Paris, like any big city. And at the exact moment that they run the 800 meters over here in the Olympics, when the gun goes off, Caster Semenya is by herself with press. I'll be there. I bet a lot of people would. And she runs, which isn't easy to run by yourself without a rabbit, without chasing, other runners. She runs by herself. She breaks the world record. She goes faster than the gold medalist at the Olympic Games, and she makes her point. So it's just a nice little fantasy.
Of course, maybe we make it reality.
I like it, Caster. You're just wonderful to speak to, I must say.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We have a few questions that were sent in. One addresses the July 2023 ruling from the European Court of Human Rights that decided that discriminating against you by forcing you to undergo the hormone treatment was illegal. But the organization has not changed its testosterone limits. That's still required. Are you fighting that?
Yes, we fighting that. Obviously, because they ruled against them. Like I mentioned earlier, the Swiss can still appeal, to the high chamber, and then they can still go overlook. But that does not stop us from going to the court of arbitration to argue the matter because we have already, have the ruling, so on our side. So what we do, we go argue the matter to say, look, it's discriminatory. You are not, ruling, based on, human rights and stuff like that. We want them to uphold it, so we can still fight that. And it has got a green light. We are positive about it, and we are happy with where we are. Yeah, it's game on. So till we hit the touchdown, we never winning. So the goal is for us to make sure that these rules are scrapped permanently.
Another question. Some of these rules unfairly discriminate against runners from Africa. So do you find gender and race issues intertwined in this?
Yeah, of course, it is. If you look into it like that, there's no question about it, of course. Then it's gender and it's racial. And for me, it's personal, because if one cannot see their wrongdoing, there must be someone to correct them. And if we have to go all extent to make sure that we get necessary resources, necessary people to attend to the matter, we'll go make sure that we do that. And of course, it's a racial issue, no doubt about it.
I was going to ask you, and I didn't get a chance before, and that is, you're born 1991.
Yes, I'm born 1991.
So apartheid, you were very young, but apartheid was about to formally, be over. But you knew.
Yes, I know about that. Yeah, I know about that. I know about my history. I know everything about it. And situations like this take you back to those conditions. And mere fact that the very same leader is coming from same background, it makes you even angry. You understand? We don't want to make it personal. We don't want to go back to that. But at the end of the day, I think as a leader, when you make decisions, when you decide to go against one, you need to look at what you're saying. You need to watch your tongue, what you say, but look at the history that you have with someone. It may overlap and cause, a lot of confliction, So, but for me, he needs to be careful in terms of, decision making, in terms of when you address the press, what you say, because if you do not respect people, if you do not, treat them with dignity, making sure that you also protect yourself, you just speak as a, it's like you are a headless chicken. It put us in a situation like this where we're going to start reminding you where we're coming from. And that's the past. We don't want to relive those, moments. We want to be in a space where we say, look, we have forgotten about the past. We don't want to go back there. But then if someone starts touching those wounds, of course, of course, we're going to talk about it. Because
just on the face of it, when you talk about, you keep constantly saying we need to accept and celebrate our differences, of humanity. Yeah. But it's clearly a parallel between the discrimination against, gender different people and the discrimination against black people.
Of course.
Talking about looks, facial features, body parts, all that rude stuff that it's taken us a long time to evolve
You look
past.
into the very same situation that it only affects, brown skin color people. You understand? It affects only, the Asians and the Africans. And I tried to find, anyone, maybe from America, maybe from, Europe. I found nobody there. You understand? I'm like, what's this? You understand? When you're a leader, sometimes you need to think.
Yeah.
You need to think about these situations to say you don't want us to be, crossing those boundaries. As much as we say in sports, say no to racism and discrimination. So when you're a leader, you need to stand by your constitution. You need to stand by that. But then it looks like my old G doesn't understand what he's doing. You understand? He doesn't understand he's digging a hole that he can never fill up. Because at the end of the day, he's there for his own interest. So we can feel him. He's the leader. He's about the change. Yes, it's okay. It's about the change. We want you to change the sports, for everything to be equal. Level the sports, but don't level the sports in only one section.
Yeah.
Yes.
Universal.
We speak the universal language, so he must do that.
You were a soccer player growing up, a team sport, and then you pursued running, which is an individual sport.
Yes.
Any pointers or lessons you got from the team sport into the individual sport? And the two-part question, the person says, do you feel this fight you're in now resembles a team sport?
Yeah, of course, it does resemble the team sports, because now it's all about, it involves a lot of people, around. But then when you look into an individual sports, for me, the reason why I chose individual sports is because I decide, what to do. I decide when it's right. I decide when it's wrong. But the team sports, it involves a lot of people. It is your responsibility to make sure that your teammates are protected. It's your responsibility to make sure that your team, we're moving as a unit, you understand? There's a lot of blames in the team sports where maybe if I don't defend well, then we lose because of I missed that shot. Everyone is going to be angry at me, but if you could have done it like that, you understand? The reason for me I chose athletics over soccer is because I played my entire childhood, in the team sports. And the team sports always, we lose because of someone did not do his job or her job, you understand? And I decided, you know what, guys, bye-bye. I'm not going to be here with you. I see something better there. I see something great there where alone walking the path, not really that you are alone there, but it's about you making your own decisions. Even when I lose the race, I don't blame anyone. If I win, I still celebrate, with others. But it's all about the errors that you make. You at least find in your heart, to forgive yourself. But if someone make you lose a World Cup, it may take me 4 months not talking to them, you understand? Because they cost me a World Cup. But for me, if it's me who did not make a right decision into the last 200 meters, and then I lose that race, it's just me. I'm just going to go back to the drawing board and fix. But in soccer or in football or basketball, you may never find the solution because it's still a team sport. If LeBron misses a shot and then maybe it becomes a habit that he's going to miss each and every game, you see, that's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
You understand that he always has this anxiety to shoot. You understand? But in athletics, you always overcome those fears where you say, I'm alone, I want to be better, I want to do that. I think for me with sports, is, in terms of switching, it was because of the responsibilities and also being accountable for my own decisions. To say, you know what, I own it, it's only me. It's only me. But in soccer, I lived through hell, man. It was hard. It was just hard, you understand? But it is what it is.
So, soccer on your dirt, a pitch in the village, and then you start choosing athletics, which we call track.
Yes.
But how quickly did you know, you're only a teenager, how quickly did you know that the middle distances, 800 was your crown jewel, but the 400 to the 1500, but how did you know 200 is going to be too short for me, 5,000 is going to be too long? How did you know those were the right world-class events for you?
I think I knew my abilities. In soccer, I had a lot of endurance, but I could maintain same speed for long.
Okay.
And that's when I knew how to separate long distance, middle, and sprints. Because I started as a sprinter because of I had no coaches there. I had to opt for 800 and 1,500. But what's good about it is because during the races, you knew your moves. I knew my moves. I knew, oh, if I hold for a little bit longer, I know there's a certain part where no one can run with me. Even in soccer, that's what I used to do. We can sprint for the ball, I'll just follow you. When you start getting tired, I could feel, like, now she's breathing high or he's breathing high. I hit hard.
Yeah.
It overheats, you understand? So I think it's all about those things, knowing yourself at the early stage, understanding what you're doing, and then you start looking into Olympics, World Championships. You look at the times that, the girls run there. And for me, being able to see the times that I was running that closer, to that Olympic dream, World Champion dream, I was like, okay, football, no more. I could have done well. I could have been in the national team. I could have done all those things with the girls.
Yeah.
But when I looked into athletics, I saw something, the future was just bright, in athletics, because even in the inter-highs, we call them inter-highs there in South Africa, the regions, in the nationals, my first attempt, in the nationals, I won silver medal, over 800 meters. And that's when I knew that, what, this is the race that I'm going to do. This is the race that I'll continue doing, 8,500. That was it. I think it just came in me, but also my dad used to do good, into long distance running, and he played good soccer.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it runs in the blood.
And those kids that you grew up with and played soccer, is mostly
Yes.
boys.
Yeah, the most boys.
And then the first kids, young people that you trained with and competed with, before you went international, they always respected you. They never had this scrutiny over gender with you, did they?
They loved me, They always wanted me around, because even when I stopped soccer, they were not happy.
Yeah.
Because they were like, they tried to discourage me to do, track.
Yeah.
They'd be like, what are you chasing there? There's nothing. I mean, I asked them, what are you chasing here? The very same thing that you see here is what I see there. But for me, I see great things. Because I remember when I came back from my first international trip, they gave us pocket money. So I wanted to show them, there's something in athletics. And, I had about $1,000 US. I did not spend it. I went straight to the class with the Benjamins. I'm like, what's this? You understand? Just to show them, what, for me, I believe in myself. I believe in the work that I do. I believe that there's future there. So in soccer, you guys are still chasing the very same football. You're still chasing this thing. I got $1,000. What you have, you understand? So we grew up like that. We always, challenged, each other. And for me, I loved it. They still love me. I met with the whole, entire team 2 weeks ago, when I was at home. So, we were reminding each other of the childhood, because we were like, you are the crazy one. You just left 2 years, and then you become a world champion. I say, you got to be crazy to do that.
Beyond sports, and sports included, what would you like your legacy to be?
I believe in running, development programs. I have a foundation. I have a club under, a track club under it. What I do is that we run, residential programs. There's coaching. There's, scholarship, programs. For me, my goal is to make sure that, I create opportunities, for the young upcoming, generation, especially those who are coming from disadvantaged background, who don't have, funds, for school. We have, opportunity to, get into athletics, they don't have, shelter, some they don't even have parents. For me, it's about mentorship, making sure that, these kids, they see, life in a good way, and also just to change, their situation, their background, and making sure that we get them into schools. We make sure that, they're happy each and every day. For me, if I can fulfill, one's life, I'm good. That's my legacy program, because I've been running it since ever, and now it's, it's growing in a nice way. It's heading to the right direction. This year I had about 57 kids, under the program that went to the national, cross country. So it's one of those things that when you do, you feel, like I'm fulfilled, just to change someone's life. So because where I'm coming from, I didn't have someone to do that, to take me off the streets. So for me, I have to do that, because also it's about taking them away from, drug abuse, this teenage pregnancy. And, most of kids, they have depression. So you want to be there for them, making sure that those who cannot get support, that cannot feel loved, accepted, and all those things, they get that. But also, it's about teaching them self-discovery, self-identity, because most of them, they don't understand who they are, where they're going, the direction. So you give them that, education. You give them that, financial literacy, all those things. You put it together so they can live a structured life. So for me, that's my legacy program, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm a coach, a hard coach, but a good one.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, Caster, you're charming, you're inspiring, you're funny. And all of you out there, and you at home too, I read it and could barely put it down. The Race to Be Myself, it's an honest, gripping work. I congratulate you on it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks.